Hey guys, we are at a new buy-to-let. Actually, it's a really nice 3-bedroom house in south of Birmingham. Now, we've already let this property, and I'll go on to explain why shortly. But the landlord hasn't actually moved out yet. Let me turn the camera around and I'll show you around and explain to you the situation and why we've had to do it. Okay, so as I said, the landlord hasn't actually moved out yet. But we have secured a tenant, and the reason for that is because of the time of year that we're in. So we are now in October. The peak season for lettings is around about September. After September, to the end of September, the start of October, it completely dies off. So what normally happens is everybody looking to move in, they always look to move in roughly between September through September and the start of October, which means that they would have been looking, so they would be looking to move in September or the start of October, which means they would have started looking in August and through September, and then that will give them another few weeks. That will give prospective tenants a few weeks to find the appropriate property, do the referencing, do the application, and then arrange the move-in. After that period of time, so right now, which is the second week of October, it goes quiet because everybody's moved in for the year, and then things will pick up again after Christmas, generally speaking. Lettings work in cycles. Anyway, so this property, the landlord was living in it, in fact still is in the process of moving out all their things, and the new tenant is actually due to move in about a week's time. It should have been a few days ago, in a few days' time, but we've moved it back to a week's time. Because this property had all the furniture and all the belongings of the landlord, I couldn't get an exact idea of what the condition of the property is like to plan what works might or might not work needs doing. Now, when we hand our properties over to new tenants, we always make sure that property is in showroom condition or as close to showroom condition as possible. And there's lots of reasons for this. I've gone over it in the past. It's because we want to attract good tenants. It's because we want to keep the maintenance costs down for our landlord clients. This is a really nice garden. And you attract better tenants, better rent, and it keeps maintenance costs down. But the downside to that is that it's going to cost a lot of money to make sure that the property is in showroom condition, and it's just the right thing to do, really. So anyway, I want to make sure that this property is handed over to prospective tenants in showroom condition, which means I've been going backwards and forwards trying to get a gauge of when a landlord's moving out so I can look behind the walls, because previously this was covered with furniture, and you don't really know what the condition of the walls are like until all the furniture and all the personal belongings have been removed, and they've just been removed like this morning. So first thing I'm going to do is, what I'm going to do now actually, is go around and have a look at all the walls, and because this is actually the first time I've seen the property empty. Now don't forget, when the new tenant moves in, this will be completely empty. So there could be loads of marks hidden behind those boxes. I don't know. There's only one way of finding out, is once the landlord finishes moving everything out, I'd have to check. If then works needs doing, then we'd have to get contractors in to paint the walls. If there's repair works that needs to be done, then we need to get the repair works done, all that sort of stuff. And that obviously doesn't give us a lot of time if the tenants are moving in a few days. So that's why I'm here now, going around, making sure, having a look to see what the state of the property is actually like once things have started to be moved out. And thankfully, it's in really good condition. It's a lovely property. It was let really quickly. But after October, things will slow down. So, we really want to make sure that it's let before things slow down. But obviously, if you're a proactive agent, then you would do stuff like plan ahead, make sure, strategize, work with your client, make sure that properties are let to the best tenant at the best time possible. And for us, it was last month. Now I'm just making sure that the property will be handed over to the new tenants in the state that they would expect it to be in. And our tenants, we have a reputation for providing high quality properties. So our tenants expect this property to be handed to them in really good condition, and obviously it will be. So it's my responsibility to walk around and make sure to have a look to see what the quality of the walls are like, the floors, see what needs doing, and get the works done. Thankfully, there's not a lot that needs doing. In fact, I can't see anything that needs doing. I saw the CO2 detector downstairs. CO detector downstairs. So it has a CO detector. Even the bathroom, so there'll be like scrapes, and there'll be flaking plasterwork that needs to be done. That needs to be done up. But actually, this is great. We just need to reseal, so scrape off the old silicone and reseal it. Obviously there's a bit of grime there, but it's just good practice too, because you want to make sure that there's fresh silicone when a new tenant moves in, so you don't want to take the risk of having leaks. And again, around here, and then really it's just a deep clean. So I'll give Helen the heads up as well, and say, look, we've got another very short turnaround where the property will be empty and ready for, that's a nice wall, ready for a deep clean. And then the tenant, between that and when the tenant moves in, I suspect Helen's probably going to only have about two days really. So I'll give her the heads up now. She'll need to come on a certain day, then I'll need to come that afternoon or the morning or afternoon after to take marketing pictures and videos. So we've got it on file so that we can start the marketing straight away as soon as the current tenant gives notice. As long as this tenant moving in gives notice, we can immediately start the marketing and the viewings, which, we don't have marketing pictures and videos on file, which means that we won't be able to do the marketing and the viewings until the tenants have left. And that could potentially be like a month or two of voids, which could have been avoidable if the lettings agent was proactive like us. So basically, essentially we're going to just try and save the landlord about 1.5 to 2K to 3K just by being proactive. Which, if you've got a good agent, that's what they'll do for you. That's really their value, one of their values, which people don't really understand. Okay, so yeah, I'm happy with this. Just needs the final bits and bobs to be removed, and then get Helen to come in deep clean. I'll come in and take the marketing pictures and videos. Then we can move the tenant in, and thankfully it's all going to plan. Well, relatively going to plan. Okay, so interestingly, the tenant moving here is actually one of our existing tenants at another property, high-end property similar to this, but they live in a different area of Birmingham, and they want to stay within our portfolio because they're our tenant. They like how we do things. They like the fact that we look after them and provide them good accommodation. In fact, a lot of our tenants actually move around within our portfolio because, well, we're good basically, and they like us, good at what we do, or they move to properties that we already manage where the friends are actually already staying, and that's actually quite a good thing because then they're moving into, it's a win-win for them because they're moving into a property where their friend is, that's also managed by us, which they like. Anyway, that's on the side. So anyway, the tenant moving in here is a family. They currently live in another property in another area of Birmingham that we manage. Actually, we own. And they're moving here because their daughter is going to start school here in this area, and they really like the school in this area. Anyway, if you like this sort of stuff, my name's Nguyen. Well, I manage high quality HMOs and single lets, and really proactive, do stuff like this. Basically, spend weekends and evenings, going around making sure that, you know, property is in order for our landlords and for our tenants. If you like this sort of stuff, don't forget to like and follow more. All right, see you then.